Hello, my name is Ryan. I got first place at the SakuraCon Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. It was about 6 rounds, which is a very small regional or a regular size or a pretty big locals. I was playing Purrely, a very, very cheap deck. I built this deck specifically to beat the meta, to beat people who spend a lot of money on the game. You're gonna take them to town, but if you run to someone who spends nothing on the game, then you might actually have a bit of a problem. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go down. So obviously you play the 2 black cat, you play 2 Purrelyly, and you play 3 Purrely, the white cat. These are very standard ratios. You play 4 field spell, essentially with the terraforming. You essentially want this, even though it doesn't really push your game state forward, it's to stop the hand trap format. Very, very hand trap heavy format. A lot of imperms, a lot of veilers flying around. You want to stop that from happening. A lot of targeting as well. You play 3 Happy Memory, right? 3 My Friend Purrely. You play, let me move that aside. You play 2 Broww. You could play 3 Broww. I originally had this because I thought Mitsurugi would be extremely popular, but it wasn't. It's only came up as a deck thinning option. I play only 2 Sleepy and 2 Delicious because that's all we're allowed to play. We play 3 Pretty, and you play 1 Purrelyeap. I'll explain a bit more about the siding options later, but these ratios you see here, the Purrely core, you really can't side anything of it out other than the Dark World and the Terraforming. The next up is the side options. Is you have 3 Fuwalos. I know this card used to be $80, but it's been reprinted. It's fairly affordable now. If you cannot afford Fuwalos, don't worry. It didn't come up in any of my games. You essentially can replace this with other board breakers of your choice. I am not running a 3rd Ultimate Slayer, for example. You could run that instead. If you have Fenrir, you could run that as well. But obviously, Fuwalos is really, really good. And the way this deck plays, you can pretty much resolve it whenever, or you can just discard it for cost. I mean for effect. You play the Godlike, 1 of Talents, 1 of Feather Duster, 1 of Called By. The main deck, Feather Duster, came in really clutch. Some of my opponents did not expect that. They played really hard into Duster. There's a lot of Fiend Sloppa running around, so if you hit them with this, they pretty much have to drop the negate, or if you bait the negate, you can hit them with this and it just loses the targeting protection, so you can use the next card coming up. You can use your 2 Ultimate Slayer. Once again, 2 Ultimate Slayer, it's not once per turn, but you are running Fua, you are running Dark World, so your deck is really like 36, maybe 35 cards. You're not really running 40. The next one is the, it's getting really popular right now. It's the Foolish Burial Goods Black Goat Laughs package. So this is really the only expensive card in the deck. This is approximately, I think, $20, $25. It's on loan. Yeah, I don't own it, but you don't have to run this. Once again, you could run Fenrir. This package did come up because you can actually Foolish Burial Goods send this, or send a memory if you need engine. You send this, you can banish it, and then you can say DS Ire, and then they can't respond. I played against 1 round against Marincess. I banished this and they couldn't do anything. It was really funny. This is essentially just poor man's Upstart Goblin. This is old school Wanted. You can shuffle this back to draw another card. So really this deck is not really 40. You're actually much lower than 40. So you can get away with a lot of the breaker style approach. And then finally the last 3 cards are 3 Dark Ruler No More, all mismatch rarity because I'm poor and I just get what I can get my hands on. Essentially, there's a lot of Fiend Sloppa running around because a lot of people have realized that the Fiendsmith Engraver, he's $1, but tracked is $80. But you don't really need to worry about that because you can run Sanct. And even if you run Sanct, you don't really care about OTKing the opponent that much because the game has kind of devolved into a very control-based format. So if you resolve this and you can break their board and you stop the recursion, you already win. Like, life points don't matter at that point. You've already pretty much won. All right, and so in terms of extra deck, we play 2 Expurrely Noir, 1 Epurrely Plump, 2 Happiness, 1 Beauty, and 1 Noir. These ratios are fine. I never ran to Kashtira Unicorn. You could play this just as is. You could actually add more Purrely cards. There were some times where I missed a second copy of Plump, but it didn't come. You could just play around it, right? It would be nice if I had it, but it's okay since I didn't have it. The 2 Noir never came up, but I guess in case you run to Fenrir, or sorry, Unicorn, you want to protect your big cat. The next up is the generic options. You've got SP, you've got Anima. These two I made quite often. I would always go Anima to take if possible, or I'd go SP Little Knight. Someone made a mistake and actually was able to steal a card. This actually came up quite a bit. I made this a lot. The cards I didn't make a lot, but I thought I did, would be ZEUS and Sylvan Princessprite. I know ZEUS is $15, I think, but you don't really need him. I never made it. In fact, you could run, I did miss another Plump. This could be another Plump, and this could be another Noir, regular Noir, or you could run the big Happiness too. The last up is obviously the Ultimate Slayer package. So if you don't know, this is your Fusion, this is your Xyz, your Synchro, and your Link Target. A lot of people get confused why I run this. Essentially, you use this, and then this guy, all he does is he sends this guy. So he's effectively a Link version of Garura. And that's the Ultimate Slayer package. Next up is the side deck. I really hated Fiendsmith, so my side deck is built to beat Fiendsmith. There's a lot of Fiendsmith players. You know, even the most random rogue deck players, they're playing Fiendsmith too. If you hand trap them, they're just going to go Moon, and then they're going to go Requiem, they're going to go Engraver. If they don't own Lacrima, because Lacrima is expensive, and then they're going to make Necroquip, and they're just going to do DD Wave King Caesar at the end of the day. It's a pretty cheap package, and people are starting to realize that they can just play Sanctum instead of Tract. So anyways, I play 3 Clockwork Knight. This is my spicy tech. Essentially, Purrely is unaffected by activated effects, but he's affected by continuous effects. So this essentially makes Purrely a machine dog, and he gains 500 and their cards lose 500. Most people, when they see Expurrely Noir, they try to attack over it with an Agnum Day or something. But with this, their monster loses 500, mine gains 500, and it also cuts them off of the Fiendsmith line, because if you go first and you play this, all their cards become machines. It doesn't matter. They can't do a light Fiend play. Next up is more breakers going second. I'll show you what the side options are later, but essentially you only need 3. 2 evenly, 1 lightning storm. You might be wondering why I'm running 2 evenly, 1 lightning storm, why not 3 evenly? This could be a 3rd evenly. You don't have to do this. The only reason why I run this is because there was a time when I ran 2 lightning storm, but you can only use 1 lightning storm per turn. So I would go lightning storm, and I would just have a lightning storm in hand that did nothing. Whereas if I could lightning storm and then evenly, or if I could lightning storm and not need even, like, a lightning storm is a bit better because you can attack with happiness and add 1 at the end of the damage step. So I do like lightning storm more, but because of that one time I got wrecked, I play this ratio now. I don't know if this is correct, but it's been okay for me. I've been able to lightning storm someone, and I had an evenly, and in my head I thought, hey, this is good because this would have been a second lightning storm, which would have been dead. And it actually came up. I was able to lightning storm someone. They would have to DS E-ray it, and then I go evenly, and then they scoop it up. The next one is 3-dimensional fissure. Once again, you want to hate on the Fiend Slappa, but this is mostly anti-droll tech. If they droll you, you pretty much get screwed. That's really the only big problem with this deck, and I kind of got lucky. I opened this against all my opponents when they had droll, and I also opened another spicy tech for all my opponents that opened droll, Heat Wave. And I know what you're thinking, why are you playing Heat Wave? Well, you see, all the Purrely cards, if I get a random one here, they're all quick plays, and if you draw the right Purrely card, and you go first, you can just play in the standby or draw phase, and then Heat Wave them, and then attack them, and then if you have another Heat Wave, you can Heat Wave them again, and you just slowly control the tempo of the game. And if they're on breakers, this really screws them up. I find this completely destroys them, especially if they're on a breaker build. You just do the Heat Wave, and that guarantees you. And you can also think of it as an Upstart Goblin. If you go first and you Heat Wave, nothing happens. You don't do anything, they don't do anything, and then you draw a card. So it's effectively Upstart Goblin without the downside. And it's not like you have to, use it. This deck doesn't really, if you can play on your draw phase, then it's good. If you can't, then it is what it is. It can screw you up, but so far it's been really, really nice. I haven't really felt the bad side of Heat Wave. So this is the spicy tech of the day. Highly recommended. I think if you're a budget player, you should play this. It's really important, especially in the current format. And finally, the last card that won me the undefeated title, I was going against essentially an FDK branded player. He was going to go idol lock me, and I was going to finally lose a game. But Spooky Dogwood, this card won me the day. There was 3 minutes left on the clock. I Spooky Dogwooded him, and the branded combo. If they want to do the Edo lock, if they want to do any lock, it's going to take upwards of 6-7 summons. You're going to gain so many life points, they can't do anything. And if they don't do anything, then you can call them for slow play. But you hit them with a spooky Dogwood, they're gonna start sweating. They're gonna start, calling you out, being like, you're a bad player. Why do you play this? No one plays this. But this is amazing. If you're a budget player, I highly recommend you play this. You essentially, as a budget player, your goal is to make the tryhards in your locals that spend a lot of money. You want to make them think, and you want to make them tilt. Your goal is not to win the thing. Your goal is to make all the people tilt, and it's really fun. I really enjoy trolling people that way. So that's the deck profile. Before I close things off, I kind of want to show you what my side options are. The side options, to kind of go through it, when you go second, the deck is already really good at going second. I'm always tempted to cut Purrelyeap, but you should never cut Purrelyeap. You shouldn't touch these ratio at all. You can consider cutting the Broww and the Terraforming. That's pretty much all you can cut going second. You pretty much never want to touch the main engine in any way, unless you find that you're against a specific matchup and you need like Dark Ruler does nothing, for example. Like, let's say you really don't need Dark Ruler, or you can cut one Foolish Burial Goods. I usually like to do this during game 2 if I lose, because this is just a blank, right? This is just to dig another card, and then this is only to get to the field spell, and you'd rather be able to play than consistency at this point, and this is a hard once per turn. So you can cut these 3 for the 3 board breakers earlier. Going first, you essentially just cut, you can leave these in. You can cut the Dark Rulers. You cut your 3 Dark Rulers. You cut your 3 Fuwaloses. You cut your 3 Dark Rulers. You cut your 3 Fuwaloses. That's 6 slots, and that is perfect amount for your Clockwork Knights and your Dimensional Fissures. You can also cut, and the what was it? The Ultimate Slayer, and that lets you fit in the other. Where are they? And the Clockwork, not Clockwork Knight. Where is it? Heat Wave, and your Heat Wave. So that's how you kind of side in this deck. I was really happy with the performance. I think if you have more money than me, obviously the best play to do is to play Fiendsmith in this deck, because if you have Lurie, you can just discard Lurie and then just do full Fiendsmith combo, and then just sit on a DS Eerie and a Black Cat for free, basically. You don't need Tract. Obviously, Tract is way better because you are playing Lurie, but you can always just run the Sanct and then Sanct first. You can also discard Sanct, and if you go into Moon and for some reason they have some way to out your Moon, you can always reset Sanct. So Sanct is not that bad. I think a lot of people are realizing that the Fiendsmith cards, the expensive ones are, yes, they are the objectively the better version. If you spend $80, you're going to get $80 of value, but if you are not willing to do that, Sanct is a really good option. Just go Sanct, Engraver, Necroquip, and Wave King Caesar, and that should be enough. Anyways, that is my deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this approach for this deck is very normal. I think because of the way this deck plays on a different axis, you're able to get away with a lot of things other decks can't get away with. On just like a random side note, if you are a rogue player watching this and you're like, oh, where's the Ash? Where's the Imperm? Why are you not playing hand traps? Hand traps are good all the time. That is true, but the problem, I think, is that power creep is insane. Like, if you think about just maybe 9 or maybe 2 years ago, no, not even 2 years, 1 year ago when Lab was running around, Lab was so strong, right? But then with the way hand traps are now, they don't trade evenly. If they go discard and then you ash them, then you get minus. Same thing with Purrely. If I discard to summon and they ash me, I go so minus. That hurts. But in terms of Malice and Ryzeal and even Odeon, these new decks, all the new decks they print, trade more favorably into hand traps because they need to get you to buy the new product. And we're starting to get to a point where hand traps are no longer worth it. The only way to be, competitively viable as a rogue deck, I think, is you need to essentially FDK your opponent. You need to play a deck that when you, whatever it is, if you just make, in this case, you make Expurrely Noir and you win, that's how this deck wins. I actually had a 12 mat Epurrely Noir and my opponent, it was the last game. They really wanted to win, but they had no out. I just made a 12 mat. He had 12,000 attack, and every turn I would smack him, 12,000. He would just slowly set an Ash and set a Droll, and eventually I won. But my point is, the game has kind of devolved into just trading 1 for 1 is no longer favorable. People say hold your Ash, hold your Imperm only for the dual drive for a reason. You can only hit them there. These new modern decks are too fast or too strong, and so I think Rogue really has to pivot. If you're a Rogue that doesn't play these modern strategies, you need to play breakers. You just need to play breakers. You cannot fling hand traps with them. They're most likely not going to brick, and you're probably, unfortunately, going to lose. You need to play a strategy that does not need hand traps to insulate your end board if you want to play rogue. Anyways, thank you for watching my deck profile. It was really fun. My opponents were really nice. They're really kind. Someone was actually cosplaying a Sky Striker Ray. She got a lot of attention, as you can expect, but it was actually a strange matchup, that one. She actually ran the Kaiju, the Kaiju that tributed my Noir. That was crazy. That was actually Sky Striker. Funnily enough, the Fiend Slop at decks didn't pose that much of an issue. The Rogue Sky Striker, like, that was really, really hard to beat. But anyways, that's my deck. Mismatch rarity. It is what it is. It's all very cheap. I know Fua is kind of expensive, but you can play Fenrir, you can play other things. So yeah. First place, undefeated. I did not lose a single game, and no one had an out to Expurrely Noir. Also, yeah, one more thing. If we're in Fiendsloppa format and everyone's playing Fiendsmith, you don't have to worry about getting Moon Goddess, because they just don't have space. A lot of people who like the Fiendsmith engine is like 6 cards, and if they're playing it in their Rogue Ice Barrier or their Rogue Marincess deck, then they need that extra deck space. They don't have the space to play Goddess if they're going to play Fiendsmith. So you can kind of get away with murder right now. I don't know how long this will last, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for watching.